My husband thought a single text message could end our marriage, until he learned the bank account he emptied wasn't even mine to lose. You never forget the exact moment your life splits into before and after. For me, it was a vibration in my pocket. Text message. From my husband of 14 years, Daniel Grant. A man I once believed God himself had woven into my destiny. A man I built a home with, a life with, a future with. A man I trusted so blindly that I placed every financial document, every account password, every dream, into his hands. The message was only 5 words. We're done. I want a divorce. First I laughed. Nervously. Confused. Because no sane person ends a marriage like that. Right? But then another message arrived. Already moved out. Don't call. And then the third. Joint accounts empty. I took what's mine. That's when the trembling began. The kind that starts in your chest and spreads through your limbs like fire. In one afternoon, my husband, my security, my home, my money, my partner, my future, vanished by text message. But he had no idea who he had just betrayed. Because beneath my soft voice, my gentle behavior, my patience, and my loyalty, I was raised by a father with 3 rules. 1. Never hit first. 2. Never betray family. 3. If someone hurts you deliberately, strike back in a way they will never forget. Daniel broke rule number 2. So I was about to break rule number 1. And trust me, he would never forget. Daniel had changed in the last year. But I ignored the signs. Late nights. Refusing to share his phone password. Sudden gym obsession. New clothes. A business trip that didn't match the hotel charges I later found. Random perfume scents that weren't mine. A credit card bill that hid suspicious dinners for 2. But each time I questioned him, he kissed my forehead and said, "Baby, you're overthinking again. You stressed too much." And I believed him. I had become exactly the kind of woman cheaters love. Trusting, busy, and exhausted. I worked full-time as a hospital imaging tech, running between MRI machines and emergency calls for 10-hour shifts. Daniel was the entrepreneur who handled our investments. He always said, "Don't worry about the money, sweetheart. I've got us." And I let him. But the truth, he was investing in someone else. A 24-year-old bar waitress named Kaylee, who posted inspirational quotes about manifesting your rich boyfriend on Instagram. Daniel didn't just plan to leave me. He planned to replace me. And when he drained every last dollar from our joint account, he thought he had crippled me financially. He thought I would beg, cry, break. But his biggest mistake was believing the life he controlled belonged to him. He had no idea what was waiting. Part 2. The silence before the storm. I didn't reply to his messages. I didn't call. I didn't cry. Not yet. I walked to the mirror, stared at myself. Puffy eyes, messy hair, wearing the same navy scrubs I'd left for work in, and took an hour to breathe. Then I grabbed my laptop, logged into my actual bank. The accounts Daniel didn't know existed. Why? Because my father, a military man with 2 divorces behind him, had taught me early. Always keep money they don't know you have. Not to use, but to escape. I had followed that rule religiously. Daniel thought he had emptied our savings. He had no idea that he had taken from a joint account I barely used. He thought he had robbed me. In reality, He robbed himself. My private account held $587,000, an inheritance from my parents, untouched for years. But I didn't want my money. I wanted revenge. So I called my father's old friend, attorney Miles Roth, a man who wore $5,000 suits but spoke like he was raised in a steel mill. I told him everything. The text, the money theft, the sudden move out, the mistress. He listened quietly, then chuckled. "Oh, sweetheart. Your husband picked the wrong woman. You realize you own the house, right?" Froze. "What? The mortgage is under your name only. You qualified." He didn't. Legally, he's a guest, not a co-owner. I had completely forgotten. Suddenly, I felt breath enter my lungs again. "Miles, what do I do?" He cleared his throat, sounding almost excited. "You sit back. You stay silent. And you let me cook." And oh, did he cook. Part 3. The revenge plan begins. Step 1 was simple. Do nothing. Let Daniel feel safe. Let him think he won. Let him believe I was heartbroken, helpless, powerless. I took time off work, telling coworkers I had food poisoning. Really, I was preparing. I went through the house, gathering every bill, document, title, mortgage paper, and contract. Everything was in my name. I checked the home security cameras. He had come earlier that day, grabbed some clothes, and left. But no drama. Then I did something that made me smile for the first time that day. Changed the locks. Every door. Every code. Every access point. Then I replaced the garage keypad. Then the Wi-Fi password. Daniel was now locked out of everything he once controlled. But I wasn't finished. Miles filed 3 things on my behalf. 1. A restraining order, not because I feared Daniel but because it gave me full legal right to ban him from the property. 2. A marital asset freeze, which stopped Daniel from touching any money until we sorted his little theft. 3. A petition for spousal misconduct, including financial abuse, abandonment, and infidelity. Daniel thought he drained me. He didn't realize. He triggered a legal nuke. 4 days later, while I sipped iced coffee on the patio, a sheriff knocked on Daniel's new apartment door and served him the papers. He called me 16 times in a row. I declined every call. When he finally texted, "What do you think you're doing?" I responded with a single word. "Undoing." He sent another. "You can't do this." Took him my money. "Half is mine." Smiled. Because Miles had already checked the records. 95% of the money Daniel withdrew came from my deposits. The joint account was joint in name only. I funded nearly everything. Daniel contributed rarely and in small. Legally, he had stolen. When work froze his business account, he sent another text. "What the hell did you do? They froze everything." I replied, "You shouldn't have emptied an account you didn't fund." He tried calling again. I blocked him. For the first time since the betrayal, I tasted peace. 2 days later, I received a DM on Instagram. From her. "Killy." She wrote, "You just need to accept that your marriage is over. Daniel loves me." I laughed so hard I nearly dropped my phone. She continued, "He said you're crazy and tried locking him out of his house." Oh, sweetheart. He didn't tell her. So I replied, "Actually, the house is mine. Legally. Entirely." No reply. 10 minutes later, Daniel called from a new number. Picked it up this time. "Why are you telling Kaylee lies?" he shouted. "They're not lies," I said calmly. "Your name isn't on anything." Silence. You selfish B***tch. I hung up mid-sentence. Later that night, Kaylee posted a story crying mascara everywhere saying, "Some men lie about everything." I almost felt bad. Almost. Part 6. The day in court. 3 weeks later we faced each other in court. Daniel looked exhausted, unshaven, angry, panicked. Kaylee wasn't with him. I sat next to Miles, wearing a black blazer and a calm expression. Daniel's lawyer stood up first, shouting about marital funds, emotional distress, and property rights. Then Miles stood and destroyed him. He presented. The bank statements show I funded everything. The texts where Daniel admitted abandoning the marriage. The proof of infidelity. The footage of Daniel taking his belongings and moving out. Documentation of the house legally belonging to me. Evidence that he drained accounts after sending a divorce text. The judge's face tightened with disapproval. Then came the verdict. 1. Daniel must return every dollar he withdrew. 2. Daniel must vacate the house permanently. 3. Daniel must pay attorney fees. 4. Daniel is denied spousal support due to misconduct. 5. Daniel must reimburse me for emotional damages and financial abuse. He didn't just lose. He was annihilated. 2 weeks later, while Daniel scrambled to repay the money he stole, I made one last move. I sold the house. The house he thought he would take in the divorce. I bought myself a penthouse downtown with river views and full concierge service. The day movers packed my things, Daniel showed up, screaming from the curb. "This is my home too." I opened the window just enough for him to see my glass of champagne. "No, Daniel," I said calmly. "This was my home. But now, I upgraded." He punched the air in frustration as the moving truck pulled away. Kaylee was nowhere in sight. His new apartment was too small. His reputation was ruined. His bank accounts drained. His girlfriend is gone. His credit was destroyed. And his ex-wife, thriving. A week after I moved into my penthouse, a final text arrived from him. "You ruined my life." I replied, "No. You ruined your life the moment you thought I wouldn't fight back." And then I blocked him forever. Because some men need to learn one brutal truth. A woman's silence isn't a weakness. It's the sound of a storm gathering strength. And when that storm finally hits, no one survives standing in her way.